Hey everyone, welcome back to the podcast. Emily and myself, Rashad, would you like to go ahead and introduce as our special guest? I would love to say that I would introduce you if I had a bio, but really I wouldn't have used it, so it's okay.
Well, good to see you again, Julia. Nice to meet you, Emily. Rashad Young, from St. Louis, born and raised. A couple things about me. I would like to first off by saying that I'm a human first. I think that's what's important to me, not necessarily what I do, but just how I operate as a person. I think my goal in life is to help others and to heal people in some sense. My name is meant as enlightened one, counselor, thinkers. I'm always in my head, but by day I'm an author. I'm also a high school counselor, and I am working on being a licensed therapist, hopefully to get into this area of family and marriage. Big on working with kids, speaker as well, get into the space of talking to people about mental health and AI, especially in education. I have a real big passion for education, especially for our kids and as far as the future and what that looks like. And ultimately, my goal is to hopefully build a school of many things, but hopefully to build a school one day to help kids become more productive members of society.
And first question, what's your book called?
I have two. Well, technically, I have three. One is coming. My first book was called Be Formless. Essentially, it was about finding yourself in different ways. I was 23 years old, fresh out of college. I got my undergraduate at the University of Missouri. Fresh out of college, graduated, moved back to my parents' house. Was very depressed and anxious. Read like 50, 60 books that year. I had so many questions about life. I would like to say that I've always grew up relatively curious, but also faith was a big foundation of who I am. But at that point in time, I didn't know what to believe in. I was meeting people from all over, understanding different religions and backgrounds. And so really that book was like a culmination of understanding why are we here, but also like the importance of navigating through ourselves. So real at that point in time, like understanding who I was navigating ego and relationships is kind of like the framework of the book. Be Formless, also the structure of the book, it was all over the place. It was just several different topics that I was talking about. And then my second book, released in 23, the end of 23, was called Renew Finding Yourself Again. I went through a really bad breakup in the middle of July of 22. And I was in a very interesting space, just trying to figure out myself and really just navigating what it means to be a person again, like essentially starting over. Lost a lot of money. Essentially was dating somebody that had a kid, lost their relationship as well. So I had a different experience of grief, nothing maybe an average person would have at my age. So I like to say I've done everything in my life but be married so far. But really, the book was just helping people figure themselves out. As I work with clients on a daily basis, the biggest thing I kind of run into, the common theme was uh, I don't know who I am when these situations happen. Like, how do we navigate through adversity and things of that nature? So, really, just taking a step by step process and understanding who you are, and more importantly, like remembering that life is finite. And I know we like to say it's infinite, but we are only here for a short amount of time. So, how do we make the most out of it, regardless of how things go our way? And then the third book is something that's been really personal to me. I don't have a date just yet, but it's a poetry book, and it's called "See You Soon." "See You Soon" is essentially a combination of a lot of bad relationships and reflections, all put together. So it's very personal to me. I talk about a lot of the experience I've had with certain people in my life, but not necessarily talking about them, but what I particularly learned in those situations. So it's a very personal piece. Took me a while to like really want to pull that trigger to really do it, but it's something I feel like I need to do to kind of move forward in my life. So it's almost done. It's coming out this year.
When you say pull the trigger, do you mean pull the trigger to actually write it or pull the trigger to start moving forward with the publishing process?
Publishing process because to me, as we kind of mentioned in the beginning, I'm one of those people where I think about every aspect. So for me to put this out, I'm recognizing that somebody that I might have dated in the past may read it because I'm very direct, and there's certain titles that are centered around those experiences, and if they know that I'm talking about them, that's kind of what the combination of "See You Soon" is about. It's like if you read this, I'm sure I'll see you soon. So, but it's also it's written in a way where I'm really not trying to badmouth anybody. It's just really talking about my experiences because usually when those things happen in my life with relationships, especially like intimate relationships, I relatively go quiet once those things happen. I don't talk about it. I may tell my friends like we're done, but I don't really explain what happens. You can always believe there's two sides to every coin. But after so many situations I've had where people ended up running their mouth afterwards, I kind of sat back and I had enough. feelings behind it where I'm like, you know what, people explain their side, let me explain my side too. So, but it's not just about that though. Other part of it too is just, unpacking, I think, the mind of a man navigating their emotions, talking about things that are important to them, especially as I would say, as a black man, just navigating something that really isn't big in our space and being vulnerable. So I don't just talk about all the women in my life that I've seen. The first half is me like trying to find myself and who I am as a person. And then the second half is about them. So I try to paint the picture as best as I can. I'm putting the final touches together. So that's what I mean by I pull the trigger.
Woo.
So let's start
Y'all
with
are twins. Let's.
yeah,
I'm just
I
throwing
was
that.
gonna,
Y'all are twins.
this
Oh
is
my,
too
oh my God. Like I'm just
definitely
gonna
a
see
lot of
myself off this
Pisces.
call and let you go.
Because I've got poetry that's also wrote that's still in draft status. So thanks for
Right.
that reminder. So we'll just pin that conversation. Let's talk a little bit about as a man showing emotions. And I
Yeah.
want to talk it from an aspect of creating safe space, educating people on how to create safe space and how to start having these conversations. So that way everyone feels seen, heard, and respected. And between me and Julie, we've learned this building a business, being best friends. And she's like the mother to my two boys and everything. We've had to come to conclusion of like using the when we communicate, do you need advice, support, or just a place to share? So that way
Yeah.
we don't try to jump in and fix things or give unsolicited advice. So I'd love to hear from your aspect, what are some tools or something that when people are holding space that are helpful?
The biggest thing is not to be judgmental. I think that's the hardest part. And like by day, I'm at an all boys high school for context. And so that's all I see every day is talking to young men and navigating not only the academics, but like in the past month, a lot of them come to me about the relationship problems. Why do they come to me? I don't know, but it's really
Oh, you know.
I know, but it's like, you got some of you guys have parents too that could be helpful. But I think the biggest thing that a lot of them have shared with me is just they feel uncomfortable sharing something like that. It's not really given to a lot of men the space to be vulnerable early in life. I could think growing up how many times I've either heard or seen stop crying, be a man, toughen up. Men don't do that. And then we take it a step further. And I don't necessarily just blame this all on women, but when we think about what women want in a man, and I also don't think women understand like how influential they are when it comes to men and their decision making. Women will express about wanting a soldier, a strong man, a man who's stoic, who can handle their emotions. So my difficulty sometimes when I have those conversations, it's like if a man is able to express themselves and dump it onto you, why would you not give him the space to do so? Right. But a lot of it is just a programming of we haven't given men that space to do that. And so that's what a lot of us get into that space of young men that are usually very angry or they're depressed or they go into vices. Usually a lot of the vices are drug and the biggest one is porn because it's just a way to feel connected in a way of having a space without judgment. I think the biggest thing is to be non-judgmental and second to ask yourself, do you actually have the capacity to be that space for a man to express his emotion? My argument always is if women truly knew what men were feeling and thinking on a daily basis, one, they'd be surprised at their own capacity, but also how much they actually cannot handle the capacity of what a man may be dealing with. Because a lot of that stuff is just built in over time. Again, that's why I think this poetry book is so important to me because this is like my entire 20s of things that I've experienced and dated, people I've dated, where I have held in a lot of these emotions. And I kind of got to a point where I'm like, I have to do something with this, or I'm gonna become very spiteful and resentful, and I don't want to be that type of person. And so that's the biggest thing. It's like giving a non-judgmental space, but also giving men that space to have that open conversation what they can. But also like we got to do better as men to be open with us ourselves and our friends as well. That's why I really emphasize that in my friend group, like tell each other we love each other, we're proud of each other, and like let's affirm each other. Like it's okay to say like, hey, we're not doing so good. I'm stressed out, because again, especially from like a suicide perspective, men are leading that charge astronomically from a data aspect because again, a lot of the emotion that they're holding in, they don't know how to release it any other way.
that was a lot. Can we talk about that capacity piece for a second? So like,
Yeah.
and I'm just going to speak for myself, right?
Sure.
So I feel like, or I've always had the experience that people, men, women, doesn't matter. Like people open
Mhm.
up to me and they will tell me the craziest random shit. I'm like, oh, okay, we're doing that. All right. But
Mhm.
like stuff they've never told people before. I'm like, we've known each other for 33 minutes. Like, okay, we're doing this. But so when you say, and I don't want to put words in your mouth here, so if I
Please do.
misspeak, like correct me, okay? But like when you say like you don't know that women have the capacity to hold,
Mm.
is it to hold like what men are feeling, to hold a safe space? Like where can you just
Both.
okay?
And I say that with so much respect and like understanding. Um, I think again when it comes to people, and I'm going to like shift to like dating standards. I hear emotional available men all the time. I would like to say that I feel that I am emotionally available man. Very much expressive of my emotions. Maybe it's the Pisces in me, but it's like that is who I am. Like I am a very sensitive guy. Not a crybaby, but I feel things and I feel things deeply. The problem is when you have your own emotions and I have my emotions, which emotion is most important? 9 times out of 10 is going to be the person how they feel about themselves. Right. And so when I think about a man, especially when I talk to my friends about different things. It's a lot of things we typically put on the table or to the side of our own feelings to ensure that our partner or the woman in our life emotions are catered to. That's not always necessarily given the same thing. And again, that's not a knock to every woman. That's just usually a general fact. Like if my girl is upset and I'm upset, probably going to tend to my girl's feelings first. And then once that is over with, will she have the capacity to deal with mine? It's hard to say because again, it's a programming thing. A lot of it is just how somebody is raised.
So this is going to go tied perfectly into a conversation I was having with one of my best guy friends. He had called me over to, if he's watching this, he's gonna know, right? So he had called me, he's like, I need some woman advice. And I was like, what you
Yeah.
got? Right? Dating, right? And we
Mhm.
were talking about this. We were talking about how he's always putting the girl first. And I'm straight and to the point, and I just shot it to him straight. I said, stop being a people pleaser, stop being a people fixer. Like at the
Yeah,
root cause, you've been so conditioned that you got to make
Yep.
sure everyone's good before you're good. I
Mhm.
said, so go
that's
sit
some
down and stop.
bullshit.
And
Yeah.
he goes, man, that was some straight facts, but I didn't want to hear it. I was like, you don't want to hear it because by staying in that cycle, you've gained something from it. And now when you're out of that cycle, it makes you feel like, ooh, am I doing enough? Like, do I have to show up in this way? I said, you have to break that cycle now before you get into a relationship, because then you're constantly catering to being the people pleaser, the fixer. And then also on top of that, the way that he was raised in all of society.
Yeah.
So,
It's, it's performative, but most men are performative. And again, it goes back to the standards of what is often expressed for what a man is supposed to do. You think about protecting, providing. Those are two performative based things. Unless you are a trust fund baby and you have armed security all day, every day from other people, a man is relatively supposed to be on guard all the time. And like that's within our nature. That's totally fine. So I think the people pleasing aspect, it took me a long time to get out of that. Like it took me forever because I was always raised to treat a woman with respect. I would like to say that I'm the ultimate gentleman. I would do anything and everything to make sure that anybody I'm with feels emotionally safe. The problem is though that I, at least with me, I have been with people where it's never enough because of their own baggage, right? But because of who I am and how I just naturally show up for people, again, as you would know, Emily, like as a Pisces, like usually we go above and beyond for people. Like that is literally like within our nature. Like I will do anything for you until you give me a reason not to. Then when you don't give me a reason not to, then the services are done. But the problem is though, like again, I don't think it's not necessarily a bad thing to be a people pleaser. I think it's just having somebody that's able to appreciate that. Unfortunately, I don't think I've had to be with somebody that's been
Ooh,
able to truly appreciate the totality of it without at least in my experience, self-sabotaging in some capacity. So
but
so
can
the
you be a people pleaser and not self-sabotage? Like to me, that's like they're married. They are
Yeah,
married.
yeah, typically.
Because, like, okay, I'm gonna, before Emily says whatever she's gonna say, and I'm gonna use a personal recent interaction between the two of us. Um, Emily's oldest is 18 and he's about to go off to college. And she just took him to a college visit.
What
And it was
school?
hard
Where's he going?
St. Leo,
Oh, in
in Florida.
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 Okay, okay, yeah.
Yeah. And she asked me, she was like, hey, I'm going to need some emotional processing support when we get back if you have the capacity. And I was having a rough go. And I was like, I felt guilty as fuck because I couldn't show up. And I
Yeah,
almost told her, like, yeah, let me know when you're back. But I was like, I can't even show up for myself right now.
right.
And so, and
It's
that's what I told her. I was like, I don't. And then I had the battle feeling like a dickhead and all the guilt that came with that, right? Like, cause she's single parent doing this on her own. And
mhm,
like she said, like, though I love those boys as if they were my own.
yeah,
And, but I feel like in that moment, had I said, yeah, like, let me know when, that would have been my people pleasing kicking in and it wouldn't have
yeah.
been serving anyone because I wouldn't have been able to hold proper space.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I want to make that clear. Like, it's okay to set boundaries when you have the inability to do that. I think when I express this is from a relationship aspect. People aren't honest with themselves daily about their ability to give. That is where I get frustrated with people. And again, including myself, I haven't always been the best in that space. But I know for me, naturally, I show up the same way every single day, whether I have the energy or not, because I think the framework of any relationship is service. I will say that until I'm no longer here. Like that is the foundation. Like when you're with somebody, you're supposed to give. That is the whole point. If not, then you shouldn't be in a relationship at all. Like that's just to me. Like again, but it's okay to be honest. Like, hey, you know what? Today I only got like 20%. Giving that person that understanding is more beneficial than not saying anything at all, or forcing yourself to do something that you don't have the capacity to do, because maybe she needs your full on attention and you don't give it to her, and maybe she doesn't feel like she got anything out of it at all. So like having those honest, clear, honest conversations is important. Just people don't have the ability always to express those things clearly. That's my issue.
You were going to
You have
say
a
something
follow up,
before,
Emily?
and
No, I'm following. I'm just kind of reflecting because it's interesting how everything kind of plays and I see a lot of Pisces traits. That's why I'm just over here like like this is a lot. It's a lot of water. Um do you know what your rising sign is? Just curious.
Oh my gosh, I feel like I do, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I I want to say Scorpio, but I could be off. I could be so off.
Scorpio, I'm a Scorpio rising. Do you know what your
Okay,
and
so
I'm
we
a
might
Scorpio moon.
that's as far as I get. That's as far as I
Okay.
got. Like,
Well, that could be a side conversation,
but I
but
think so. I think so though.
back to also understanding, I think that astrology, human design, other tools can help you understand, and
Yeah.
reading books and understanding how you operate as a person, because I
Right.
remember people pleasing and people fixing was one of the most hardest things, where you get in a relationship and you're like, oh, I see potential, let me go ahead and fix that. Well, now in this season we're not here for the Build-A-Bears, that
No.
has exited. So but understanding that and breaking that cycle, but you don't even just see it in relationships of romantic side, but you also see it when you have children. You also see
Yep.
it in business, like let me overserve the fuck out of this client, and then they're going to want me back more, right? That's also an aspect of it.
Yeah.
So that's what I was going to say, Julie.
Yeah, that's probably the biggest thing. I had to really like unlearn that because I think I'll give somebody the moon and the stars. Again, that's just my natural, it's just my natural MO, regardless of what it is. I think again, the one I learned, everybody doesn't have the ability to receive that amount because maybe they didn't get that growing up. And so I think a lot of people that I've connected with, that was the biggest issue. They never received that amount so short without reason. Again, it just if I feel for you in such a strong way, I put you in this like special place in like my eyes and my heart. Uh, Very bad because I've learned a lot because of that. People are still people, but I think again, everybody doesn't have the capacity to necessarily accept that. And also, I had to learn that sometimes I was doing these things and I had like unconscious expectations that I just wasn't getting back. And it wasn't like nothing like crazy. It was just like, really, it goes back to appreciation. I haven't always felt it appreciated by the people based off of these simple things that I do. 'Cause I think one of the biggest things I had to learn, but I was feeling miserably at first, was like, I will forget the small things with people, like the small detail things. And I'm a firm believer, like the small detail things is what keeps any dynamic going. Um, like birthdays or like favorite colors or like favorite orders at Starbucks. Like simple things, like those simple gestures I feel like go a long way. Then I would remember the small things. But then the bigger things I would maybe forget about, or maybe the bigger things that person just wasn't able to receive. So again, it's just something I'm learning along the way. No more Build-A-Bears though, for sure. Not
Yeah,
doing that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not that season, right?
No,
We've
no
evolved
more.
past that.
No.
Let's go back to that honesty piece. You said something about honesty, and that struck a chord for me in a lot of ways. Like that's it's one of my pillars, right? One of my core pillars and core foundations as a human. Um, and the last romantic relationship that I was in is the best relationship I've ever had, the most supported I've ever felt, the most open communication. But I learned quickly, and Emily can attest to this, because I think I texted her one time and I was like, oh boy, he's, he's lying to himself. Like he's not honest. But he's
Yeah.
lying to me because he thinks it's true. He thinks it's true because
Yeah.
he's lying to himself.
Yeah.
So let's go down this rabbit hole for a minute about like honesty and integrity with your word and just how do you what is it as a man, like how do you as a man show up in true honesty and authenticity, and if and when you recognize that that's not fair for the other person, and like I said, it could be like a fantastic human, like the person that I had dated, fantastic fucking human, wish him nothing but the best, but I was like,
Hmm.
damn, he's got to do a whole ass level of healing that he doesn't even realize is there.
Yeah. Um, I'm trying to say this in ways without like outing people. Um, Honesty is very easy. It's one of the easiest things that we can do. I think lying is harder than we make it. And there's a saying that it's the truth. I mean, it's from a song, but pretty much lying to protect you. I do it a lot. Sometimes people think they're lying to protect the other person. They're really not. They're protecting themselves from an inevitable truth that they just don't want to face. I think you have to be honest in order to really, really show respect for somebody. Like, I think if you're going to be anything that requires a level of commitment and understanding, you have to be honest. Now, do we all lie? White lies for sure. Like, I would never sit there and say like I don't lie at all. I just think the core foundation of things that I think people want to know, I don't lie to them about. And also taking a step further, something that I learned relatively early, maybe because I take a lot of pride in it. It's like if I would cheat on somebody, I would cheat on myself. So I really don't do that. I don't see the point in doing that. If I am committed to somebody, again, maybe it's the sign in me, but it's like we're connected until we have no reason to be. Because I think commitment is really important. Like I think there's an honor in that I don't think in today's time that we don't really recognize. Like, and especially I would say as a man, especially if you're climbing up and you're getting more money or whatever that is external, you are maybe receiving more access to people that maybe you never thought before. Kind of like that guy in high school that was like the nerd, and then he makes a lot of money, and then he goes down to Miami and he sees a bunch of supermodels he never thought he would ever talk to in his life, but he has the money and the access for it. Just because you have more options doesn't mean that those options are better for you. So I think that's something to kind of keep in mind. And so going back to like honesty, I think as a person you should be honest, but as a man especially, like only like our words should mean a lot. If you say you're going to do something, you should try your best to own up to it. Life does happen, so maybe you can't do it in that way. But honoring a commitment to somebody, I think is the most honorable thing that anybody can do, but especially as a man, because again, our framework is centered around leadership, direction, provision, security. And if we want to go off of emotional needs, women need security in emotional and physical way. Your word matters a lot. I know everybody needs reassurance, but I think women may need reassurance more. Because again, how the world operates, um, we can lie about anything every day. I can get on this phone after this and say I just had a multi-million dollar deal with two women, uh, and I can brag about it. And you may never hear from me again. But the point is, though, like we have so many options and ways to lie. It's so much honorable just to be honest with yourself and with other people. Like you mentioned, the guy you dated, he was lying to himself, maybe so he thought that you could not see his flaws, but at some point we see people flaws and red flags at some point. So at some point the lying becomes more difficult because you can't keep lying forever. Like I feel like my last situation taught me that. I feel like she was lying to me about something. I don't know what it is. I haven't asked, but because of how it abruptly ended, um, it was just out of left field. Like everything was going smooth. Like, you know, they come into the conference supporting me, and then Monday I get a long text message.
A text message?
Text message 4 days before my birthday. Also, and the funny thing is, everything happens. So you have something that happened to you
Yeah.
too?
Was this in Venus retrograde?
Probably so. Hold on.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah,
because it was March.
but yeah, it was
Yep.
March. So, but my thing is though in that situation, well, I would probably never talk to her again. I didn't go off on her when it happened. It was just like I noticed different things about her. Will always love her as a person in the moment that we had. And I started noticing a shift within self. And I would ask, like, are you okay? You seem distant. Like, I am giving you opportunities to whatever it is to be like, hey, I can't do this right now. That is way more honorable and respectful to me versus a random text message like 7 o'clock at night.
Listen,
you had
I've got one of those stories.
yeah, but to me, it's like okay, I cannot change how the person went about it, but I ended up sending a message on my birthday, essentially expressing like this could have been handled so much better. Because at the end of the day, you have a right to be honest with yourself, and that's what it sounds like. Maybe she was conflicted about something and she had an epiphany, but my thing was as well written as it was, you were sitting with that for a while, and instead of being honest with me, the one person that is so understanding. I may not be the pick at the moment in time. Like that's okay. Like, but just tell me. Don't go about it in a way where you know that like you're now challenging my principles. Because then once you challenge my principles, as I'm sure you may attest to, Emily, like once you cross that side with us, like you get the other fish.
You done. And
You're done.
do not swim your way back because that way's not swimming
No.
that way.
And that thing that's the thing. I didn't go off on her. I didn't cuss her out. I didn't call out her name. It was just like me and you had a way better thing for you to handle it in this way. Uh, because we have so many open conversations and it was distance involved. So you gotta be more open in those conversations. You know what I mean? Like you gotta be open about those things in order for me to understand. And I pay attention to people's patterns. If we're talking all the time and all of a
Of
sudden
course
like
you do.
it drops, right? It drops. I may not say nothing right then and there. You know, life is stressful. But like if I'm noticing something, that is the grandest stage of it all. Like I am giving you an out, and you don't take it. I'm like, oh, okay, well, maybe not. So when I saw that, I was just like, oh, okay. Moral of the story, though, honesty is important. That's where I'm at.
Well,
I think though the other side of that too is a lot of people don't understand how intuitive they actually are, and then all of a sudden they feel like, ooh, communication like dropped, or like I'll intuitively know when a guy's gonna break up with me. I'll feel it before it happens every single time.
Yeah, I had that feeling too. I did. It just to me, it was so odd. Um, I did not know when, but I felt like a significant like something was going to be told to me. And so my biggest thing was in that situation, why come to my conference and support me? And then the week before that, I met her family because I went down to her thing to like support her. I shot something for like her family, pulling her to the side, like saying it was for an event. Like I am meeting you wherever you can be so I can show up and support. If you're wrestling with something like that to me, you call me like 2 days before. I don't care if you call me the day before. I don't think I can do this because this is what I'm dealing with. Okay, cancel my ticket. Life goes on. That's fine. But you don't allow somebody to go through those type of things, and you're in the back of your head, like there's something you want to tell me. Like to me, that's like a betrayal at the ultimate level. I had another situation like that like 3 years ago when I lost. Again, I had two houses. We bought a house. I moved out 10 days later. It's a long story. I ain't gonna get into that. But I gave her an opportunity to leave. I noticed a shift. Relationship was really bad and toxic. I don't think you're happy. Why buy this house? I will sell this house. I will give you half. I take my half. We go about our way. Again, honorable and fair. You allow the house to proceed. And that's just start reading things together. And I had to just up and leave. Then they got married like 9 months later. Like it don't. That's the thing,
We
man.
really need to know your human design,
I don't
Yeah,
know.
after
like
this
those
call, we're gonna
profile
talk about
lines,
human
man.
design.
Those profile lines. I
I feel
know.
like
Oh,
I'm giving you a glimpse into my book. But I guess that's the thing though. Like honesty is just so important. That's just what I'm getting at. Like it's so easy to be honest about those type of things. It's not hard at all. Like whatever happens from it happens.
And the more that you're honest with yourself, or the deeper that you can be honest with yourself, the more you can be honest with other people. Because you're
Yeah.
not going to be like, if you can't be honest with yourself, just go ahead and miss me, like fly right on by. I don't even want to talk to you.
And the funny thing always with those things when they end, it's like the olive branch extension of we can still be friends, or like I hope. And I'm always
no,
confused by that.
no.
Um, because it's like, how do you think I'm gonna recover from this? And I let it be known very clearly with people. There's two sides of me. You either get the super loving, super respectful. I will give you the world. And the moment you cross this line, I'm telling you, we probably won't be friends again. Not that I hate you. It's just I'm giving you my best offering. If this is simply not enough, there's no way I can be your friend. I don't have. I'm not friends with anybody I've dated. I wish I could be. That's just how I operate. I can't. I don't tell you happy birthday. I don't wish you. I don't do it. Numbers probably
That's
deleted.
interesting.
Yeah, it's
Same.
very cutthroat. It's bad. It's
Interesting.
bad. It's
I
either
wouldn't
we in
say
or
that
we
it's
out.
bad. I wouldn't say that it's bad at all. It's like you know yourself enough to know what you're capable of, what you are okay with and what you're not. There's nothing bad about that. So it's not like a Libra trying to be, and no offense to your Libra moon. I'm not
Well,
saying
that's
that.
the last one. The last one
But
was.
what?
I'm just out, not everything. I don't care. But that's just is what it is.
My last one was a Libra too, and that's
Yeah,
why I'm
well, yeah. She made y'all look bad.
like but that's the thing is um and some of that can be born of like the people pleasing, right? Like we just want to keep the balance and we want things, but it's at the end of the day, it's like if we weren't friends before, why are we going to be friends
That
afterwards, right? Like,
that's the thing. And again, and I can admit, like a lot of my time, a lot of my situations like that is because again, I am emotionally driven. Sometimes it's quick. Like I'm just kind of going off how I feel.
quick,
It's quick. Like hey, we're in it.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
that's
yeah.
how it happened. Like most of these things are happening quick. I fever dreams, the term that usually comes to mind. Like it feels like a fever dream. Like they come quick. This is like intense love, connection, and passion. But then you like, she's laughing because it's real. Like,
No,
but
it is
Real.
real. It's so
I
real.
get to a point where I can sit back and assess, and we have those conversations. Is this moving too quick? Do we need it? I am giving people the opportunity to make that decision. Because once I'm in, I'm in. I don't care if it's the first week. If I fall on somebody with the first week, that's just what it is. Like we're here. Okay. What in my mind it's like wedding bells and we'll figure it out later. Some people operate differently and I try to respect that. And again, I give you the opportunity to navigate that. You don't want to make that decision. I'm gonna assume everything is fine.
So, but that goes along to say, I have learned, and I had very much similar habits, similar patterns. I have learned
One
that
million percent. I can attest to it.
yeah, a lot of people like the idea of being with you,
Yeah.
but they can't meet you there. So like they like the idea of it, but when it comes down to like, because like in the first week or two, I'm very much the same way. Like we locked in, like let's go. But then when it comes to actually showing up, doing the work, doing those things, they really just like the idea of you. And I'm like,
yeah,
what? Like
story
you
of my
mean you
life.
could tell me I gotta motivate you to go to the
Well,
gym?
hold
Nah,
on,
go ahead.
hold on. What? But why is that? Because this is not just exclusively a Pisces thing. Just so you all know.
I don't know.
Um,
We go through some heartbreak, man. We go through it.
Trust me, it's not.
No, I know it's not, but I feel like a lot of my closest friends, we are all Pisces, and we have very similar. Even the situation I mentioned like 3 years ago, we both were Pisces. Um, very much. Well, even though that was a slow burn, like, but when it crashed. It's very intense. Two Pisces don't mix. I'll forever stand on that notion. They don't. Too much
Ooh,
emotion.
I would disagree. Much emotion. There's never such a thing. I don't have Pisces anywhere in
No,
my
I've
chart,
dated a
so I
Pisces and
guess
I've
I
dated a
can't like
Leo. I can tell you, too
100%.
much emotions don't
I'd
mix.
date a Leo. I don't think I'd. No
I
offense, because we have some good friends that are Leos, but I don't think I'd go there.
they don't mix well.
I think the difference is, and I used to have the very same stance of I would never date a Pisces, but the difference now is I will date a Pisces, but not an unhealed one.
Yeah,
Absolutely
no
no way. Because
healing
it's
matters.
like night and day.
Yeah.
Because you have
Yeah.
this self-awareness, you can have the mindfulness of like, hey, I'm navigating a lot of emotions, but I know how to ground myself. Just ask Julie, like it's chaos as fuck when I'm in a lot of emotions, right? But I know
Yeah.
how to pull myself out of it and ground myself.
Oh
Now, if
yeah.
there's a Pisces or a super water sign that I'm dating that don't know how to do that, no, I'm gonna run.
Yeah. No. I think honestly, that's the biggest thing. I can admit like as much as I'm telling like these horror stories, like there's a lot of things within that
I
I
don't think
wasn't.
they're horror stories. I feel like everybody has
No,
gone
they're
through
horror.
this.
My heart hurts. Okay, I can't keep doing this. No, but
Listen, no, we get it. We've fucking been there too.
um, no, I would like to say though, like some of those situations, I can definitely admit, like I wasn't like in my truest self. Like I think this
Right.
last one, I was very more sure of myself, and then the last person before this one, she was the Leo, and it was really intense. And it was a point in time, like 2 or 3 weeks ago, like I had the urge to reach back out, but I had to like recognize like why it didn't work out in the first place. Miss her to death, like as a person, yeah, because it was a very genuine, intense thing. But the other part is too is like I also have to remember like why I kept walking away. Like, it was one of those things where could we have worked through those things? I'm sure. Uh but for me and like where I'm going in my life, I don't know if I want to say go down that hole again. And it's something I literally contemplate with like every other day. Not because I just long for this person so much, but it's just like that is like the biggest question mark in my life. She's actually the end of my poetry book. Because it was the hardest one to write, but it's so true because I have so many questions. Like I have a message. I already have like a curated message like I want to send. Um I don't think I'll ever send it because I have to go back into reminding myself like why it did not work out. Um
Gotta pull yourself out of the delusional and
yeah.
take,
I
yeah.
just realized that I am an advocate in the wrong direction most of the time. You should stop listening to me.
Yeah, I realized that last week when you
The thought
told
that came to my mind, I was like, send the message, just send the message.
Yeah, she's the only one I've dated where I have an urge to either reach out or check in. Like and it was strong, but I have to keep asking myself why. Like I gotta be honest with myself, like just where I'm at as a person. Like am I missing like the person? Am I missing what that familiarity felt like? And I feel like as jacked up as it was, like she was probably the only few people I feel like genuinely saw me for me. There was a period of time where she did not appreciate me and my consistency. And we got into a big spat about it. We argued about everything really. That's why again that's why I say two emotional people don't mix because of her sensitivities and I got frustrated with her insecurities. And I was always kind of like being asked, am I cheating and stuff like that because of things that happened to her in the past. And I don't step out on people. So when you have to constantly hear that all the time, it gets old and draining. So yeah,
Yeah.
again, the unhealed part of me for sure. Like 4 years ago, I'm talking right now, I could definitely say that I was unhealed in a lot of those spaces just because of the things I've dealt with people. And then my ego was so big. Everything offended me. You say anything about me, you crazy as hell. There's no way. You think I'm the problem? No, no way. Elites gaslighting, and I can say that. I hate the word gaslighting, but elite at gaslighting, emotionally manipulative because of my ego. Like I can own that one for sure. Granted, again, there's a lot of things I can say about that woman from 4 years ago. She was just as bad, but I can own my part on what I did. Wasn't always emotionally secure for her. Didn't always feel safe. I allowed my emotions to take the best of me. But again, because once you piss me off, I'm here, and then we're it's hard for me to get down. So, and then again with the last one, we never got into it, but I learned. I'm learning within each field experience. So that's why I'm able to talk to. I guess going back to like full circle, I can talk to guys about these things because we don't have to be where we're not to like prove a point. Like I tell my young guys all the time, you don't have to leave with this like weird assertion with a woman to make yourself feel like a man. Like if you're an emotional guy, like that's okay. Like don't shift that because you want them to respect you. You just gotta find somebody to respect you. That's it. But you gotta respect yourself first more than anything. Like you shouldn't go into great lengths for anybody, man or woman, to like prove your worth to them. They don't see the worth and they just don't see the worth. And that's the biggest thing I learned. That's why I don't really get mad no more. I just write about it. And I just put it in books. So
That's
But I
100%
think
Pisces.
this also speaks to like we had talked a little bit before earlier about like the culture, right? The dating culture and the culture
yeah,
that we live in and just in fucking general is wild. It is fucking wild. And there's so many things that I could
it's
there's just
only
so many
wild
things to
because
say.
people don't want to be in one. We just want the benefits.
Some
Nobody re-
people,
No,
right? Like that's a very
don't
broad
agree.
generalization.
I don't. I'm
no.
going off the numbers. I'm
I
not going
think
off numbers.
it's wild in a lot of ways, but I think people still crave connection. They
No, for
still
sure.
crave that and they want to be in a relationship.
Yeah,
However, as a society and as a world, look at everything that has been put in place in the last 5 or 10 years. So now you don't need the in-person connection, and they're feeding that connection side with something else to numb out that they want connection.
yeah. I will also say that people are. Uh, I I can say it and I can't. It's like we have become more narcissistic as a society. With social media, especially because a lot of content that we produce is look at me, this is who I am, this is what I bring, and it kind of goes back to that inward reflection of am I actually doing enough to be somebody's partner in a beneficial way? Uh, and I say that on both sides, and it really bothers me because I don't know where we got to this point. I don't know how two people or two sides are on this hill, both saying that they're the prize, and nobody's trying to meet in the middle to like better understand themselves. I think that's the thing. Because it really bothers me from a man perspective when I hear a lot of comments of demeaning women, especially because of bad experiences, and then it also really bothers me when I see a bunch of women, and I see more commonly, maybe it's my algorithm about their disdain of not needing a man. But again, I will always argue that why are you on dating apps if you don't need a man?
Let's talk
Because
about that. Let's
please,
just talk
please
about that.
do, please
Okay.
do.
So I'll just share my personal perspective, right? I don't speak for all women. I don't speak for anyone else but myself. So
Yeah,
there is a huge difference between needing and wanting. I can say that I don't need a man because I don't need one. Do I want one? Absolutely. I want to have a relationship like my fucking grandparents did, right? Like I want to have this where you can be silly and goofy and funny, but you go through all of the crazy ups and downs of life, and at the end of the day, you're willing to fucking do the work to stay together because you that's your person. Like that's
right,
your
right, right.
fucking person, right?
Yeah.
But so like do we need them to survive? Oh, it's not like that anymore, right? Like we're not
Okay, but
cave people. We're not
real quick,
out there in
real
the
quick,
wild. Yeah,
real quick.
go.
I'm curious. Why do you say you don't need one?
because I don't feel like I genuinely like to survive. Do I need a man to survive? No, I can
Basic
survive on my
needs,
own.
basic needs, no. Okay, we
You
don't
can
need
make your,
anybody's
yeah,
back.
you can meet your basic needs by yourself, right? Man or woman.
But I would, but see, the reason I'm asking that question though, because it's not just you, it's just like that need is need. I think we take need to like a very specific thing, and I would very much sit here and argue that I need a woman. Like I know my life would be not maybe not right now because it's great, but like 100 times better if I had a woman that was very supportive, uh, respectful, all the things that I can need. I can openly say that. Like that's why there's such a longing for that because I know that I need a woman. I will never sit here and say that. Yeah, I can cook my own, I can pay my own bills, but I know as far as like a ultimate fulfillment piece, I need a woman. I know
But I
that.
think that's the difference too. Okay, let's kick the words out to the side,
Okay, let's
right?
take
Let's
it out.
kick need and want out for a minute. We are saying the same thing, right?
Okay. I just
We
want to
are
make sure.
100% saying the same thing. It's just from because when I look at need, I look at it from survival, right?
Yeah.
I look at it from a survival perspective. But I also know that Emily and I are two fucking completely different people. Like dating, we are not attracted to the same people. We don't like the same traits. We don't look for the same kinds of things. Um, but also like we've had this conversation. She's like, "Don't you get lonely?" I'm like, "Well, not really."
Yeah, and I think that it goes kind of back to, yeah, I don't need someone, but it would be nice to have like that
Yeah.
fulfillment. There's something about being in a relationship that's very
Yeah.
fulfilling. And I can
Mhm.
very much be lone wolf by myself, do my own thing. But there's that fulfillment aspect. And then there's also the aspect that when I'm in a relationship, I know that opens up different sides of me that I would not have on my own. So for my
Yeah.
growth and my
100%.
evolution, it's important for me to be in a relationship and for the fulfillment. I think what's missing in a lot of today's world is people have the expectations of getting in relationships for like what's in it for me, or like, oh, I'm
To
Right.
fix
depressed,
all their
not
fucking
depressed.
problems,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Where if we can just
That's
like,
gonna make you whole and complete. It's not. That's an inside job. You need to do the fucking work. So
For
I
sure.
think that's also part of like, and again, this is probably a blanket statement, and I don't speak for all women, but and I see that shit too, right? Like I see women saying, "Well, I don't need a man," and I think that's a very sassy, like, fuck them, fuck the world. Like I got this on my own. So I think there's a different level too. So when you see a woman who says, "I don't need a man," or "I don't need a relationship," I think it's interesting to ask the deeper question. Like, is that because, right? Because, like, I'm looking at it from survival
Yeah. No,
versus
for sure.
thriving, right? Like, survival, I don't need a man. To thrive, 100%. It changes, like Emily said, it changes the fucking game. It changes everything about you, right?
Yeah.
Everything.
I think the biggest thing I just wanted to say is I think the biggest thing like my response is always like, who hurt you when I hear that? Right. Because that's the
And
common question. Like, not you,
that's
but I'm saying like
partially
in
valid,
general.
right? Yeah, in
Yeah.
general,
It's like,
that's a very valid. There's a lot of did you hurt you? Like who hurt you out there? What
and I
hurt
want
you?
to take it. You have something to say, Emily? I feel like you got to say something.
yeah, but if we look at it from a collective, yeah, they hurt you, but at this on the flip side, what have you done to heal? And also, like when I look at it, like my deepest hurt, my biggest heartbreaks, those were the biggest moments of growth in my life. Some of the
Yeah.
biggest moments of growth. And it wasn't even romantically, like my family. Like let's just start there. Like completely done, shunned, done, out. So it's also our responsibility before we get in that relationship to show up and do the fucking work. Stop,
Yeah.
I
Everything
can
goes
preach
back
all
to
day
the
long.
work. Everything
Yeah.
goes back to work. I think the other thing why I think for me why being in a relationship is I would say is the desire, because I don't want to be in the industry. And I say this with all due respect for like mental health professionals, but I hate seeing single life and dating coaches. It drives me insane, and I say it with all due respect, because some people are like freshly divorced and like that. Like it's not. I get the core of it, but the question is like, especially like with somebody like with a massive following, it's like you're not. you're kind of practicing what you're preaching, but you're kind of using the angle in a way where you're not necessarily giving a perspective of somebody who's going through the actual relationship. It really depends on what your thing is about. Like for me to talk to young men about the importance of being with a woman, I would like to hopefully have a model uh besides that. Like I can tell them to respect women, this, that, and third. And they're like, well, like, where your girl at, man? And I'm out here seeing 5 or 6 different women every week. Like to me, that's not necessarily practicing what you preach. Now, again, I get it.
Right.
Like life happens where you may just not be in that space for it. I just want to make sure I am modeling that if I can to the best of my ability. Like I would love to show people a healthy family, or that you can be with a woman and only one woman and love her to pieces, and like y'all can have something healthy. I know everybody doesn't get that, but when I think of people like very big platforms, when they talk about things like this, they're not with nobody,
I
and
have
that's my
someone.
thing.
Are you thinking, Emily? You're probably thinking the same person I am.
Yeah, there's a
I
lot
love
of
it.
them, and my favorite is always when they try to slide in my DMs and sell me relationship coaching.
That's my point. That's
I don't
exactly
know
what I'm
what
saying.
y'all are doing because I have had some of the, and that's another thing. Like she gets all kinds of crazy shit. Like people slide into her DMs all the time, like all kinds of wild shit. And I'm like, what the fuck are you out there doing? Like I don't ever have you.
Well, you got to keep in mind, relationships, and I say this with respect, and I'm a Christian by nature, but people will literally prey on the downfall of hope of others. So if you are struggling in relationships, oh, I got this $20 course, and I can assure you a 99% success rate is you'll find a partner. Or if you go to church, if you come here and you pray, and I think prayer is important. Again, I go to church, but some people are literally preying on the downfall of others for their own financial benefit. To me, that's not the way to go about it. I get it. I
It's
respect it.
fucked
Maybe,
up. You could just
yeah,
say it. It's
if I
fucked
didn't
up.
have morals, maybe like I can get it, but to me that's just not what I want to promote. I never really want to promote that. So again, that's what I'm saying. The modeling of it, I think is important. I want to show that model for people to be like, oh, okay, this man not only has done the work, but he's also honest. So I like to say, like, I have learned from my mistakes. I would never sit here and just bash every woman without expressing things that I've done wrong as well. But it is usually their fault more than mine. So I do like to say that.
Some feisty shit right
Okay,
there.
I'm done. I'm
Some
done. I'm done. I'm
feisty
done. I'm done.
shit.
I'm done. I'm done. I promise. I promise. I'll be better. But yeah,
So,
that's it.
so we are at time, so I'm gonna wrap us up.
Yeah, please do.
One last question. What is your biggest fear?
Wow. Biggest fear. I think at this point it is not living to the fullest potential I feel like I can live.
Mm.
At one point it was just not doing enough. I think now it's just not living to my ultimate purpose in life, but also to the fullest. I think I find a lot of meaning in helping others, and I want to get to a point where, I mean, I say it in a crazy amount. I would love to meet and connect with millions of people. I've been saying that for years, but it's something I feel like I am literally designed to do. And again, not in a way of like I want to be so important when I'm helping people, but I just want to feel like that my presence and I'm connecting all these people all over the world, that they have some sort of sense of self when it's all said and done. Like I literally feel more fulfilled helping others than I do like my own beneficial or financial beneficial gain at this point. It's really just doing what we're supposed to do in a short amount of time. So yeah, that's my biggest fear. Not living to that fullest extent.
I love that. I love that. Any last parting words of wisdom? This could be a like to your younger self, to anyone growing up out there listening, that and I kind of hate the younger self advice because like
Yeah.
it's a little cliche, but just any
Uh,
last words of wisdom or advice for anyone
to my
listening?
younger self or to anybody is
Anybody.
yeah. I mean, the common one is like be yourself, but I think it's really I would say really just trust yourself and everything. Even like through the darkest times, I feel like everything that's happened to me made sense. And it sucks being in those dark moments, but as these things are starting to like unravel itself, when the trust within self and the clarity I get in my life is that at a different level. And I also needed those experiences to help me become a better person. I don't know if I would be that person if I didn't go through all those hardships. So while things may seem bleak in some people's lives, they usually are set up as a future testimony. If you look at it the right way, you use it properly to help yourself grow and hopefully use it to be a beacon of light for others in their life and their stories.
I love that. I love that because it's true, right? Like
Yeah.
all the hard shit, like we've all probably had things like that where we didn't know how that we were going to make it through it, but it's like, man, I can't imagine still being in that, right? So I love
100%.
that. Thank you so much for coming today and for being real and authentic. This was not at all where we thought that this or where I thought this would go, but
You guys said F it, so I said F it.
I
You know,
love
like
it.
that's
No,
I
that's
was coming in very PR. I wasn't about to talk about much of my personal life, but also know I gotta be honest with myself on these platforms sometimes. It's just, these are my experiences and I think some people may be relating to them. I think me and Emily had very similar connection points during this thing, so it's good to know that I'm not the only one going through the treacherous streets of which is dating. So it's all good.
Go ahead and end here so we can continue that conversation.
fantastic. All right. Thank you so much. We will post any way that you get into contact with Rashad if you want to work with him, ask him questions, just learn more about him, get a hold of his books because I know a lot of people, we all go through these moments in our lives where we kind of question ourselves and who we are and everything, right? And it does happen more than once, so you're not alone in that. So we will make sure that you have access to everything from him so that you can, learn with him, learn through
I will
him.
send those things. I will send those things.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.